Okay, let's talk matters mental wellness and specifically men's mental health wellness as we get to commemorate this specific topic on this month of June. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And how about to get into it? Today we will be talking about breaking the silence on the stigma on men's mental health awareness. So let's get into it. I have three gentlemen with me in studio right now, and I will begin with, we have Robert Omondi. Robert Omondi is from the Youth for Mental Health Consortium, and then we also have, all right, next to him on his right, we have Benjamin Mutoko, and Benjamin is a Mental Health Programs Officer, LVCT Health, and then right next to me over here we have Baraza Churchill. Baraza Churchill is a nurse, psychiatrist, and lecturer. But before we get into the conversation, how about we start it differently today? Robert? Take it away.
Wanasema mwanaume ni pillar ya society. Mwanaume ni backbone ya familia. Wanasema mwanaume ni daily breadwinner. Lakini hapa pillar ya society imecrack. Mwanaume weka plaster. When him strong, backbone ya familia imevunjika. Mwanaume weka bandage. When him strong, daily breadwinner leo ana lose. Mwanaume usijaribu kulose. When him strong, machozi ziko balancing, ziko almost kutiririka. Mwanaume usijaribu kulia. When him strong, so ana mama kimoyo moyo, juu akiongea watasema ni umama. Kuna stigma kwenda counseling, so anaita mabeshte yake wapange another plot. Pesa imemuishia mwezi na budget haja fully sort. Ongezea failed marriages na broken relationships, bonus tie another knot. Lakini ni ngozi za strength alivikwa akiwa mdogo. Baba usijaribu kulia. When him strong, ni taji ya strength alivikwa akiwa mdogo. Good boy, ujalia. When him strong, ni size za strength alifunzwa akiwa mdogo. Good boy. When him strong, ni weight ya strength alipimwa akigrow. Wanaume mko wapi? Nyinyi wa strong. Asante.
Amazing. This is how we do it, gentlemen. Yeah, that is how you clap for a piece, you know, spoken word piece, a very deep one actually. That's a really deep piece, talking about the struggles that men get to endure and how society expects them to just become strong. I mean, when I'm strong, usilie, you know, and this is the reality of how things are on the ground. And I want to ask you this question, gentlemen. Why do many men, according to statistics, struggle to seek help on matters mental wellness? I'll begin with you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. Barasa. Now, I think men are struggling so much because of the stigma in the society today. I believe and I feel that men feel that you know, society has brought us up. Society has brought us up in a matter or in a picture that views as a man should never speak up. A man should always handle things by himself. I think it's something that is really weighing men down of not speaking out, because if you speak out, people see you as an inferior person. People look down upon you. So I feel men are going through a lot and they can't speak out because of how the society has brought us up.
All right. Robert, what's your take on the same? Why is it that you do not speak out as men?
Yeah, just to add to what you said, it also starts when you're growing. Let's say, as I've said, when you're a small boy, when how boys are raised, say a boy ameanguka, and they're like, when kijana. So by the time like you're all grown, there's this like words thrown at you, or like just the language and communication that is told to you. It's expected for you to like just bundle things up and to be less expressive. Especially in things that may show weakness. So you are like just positioned to show like there's no weakness in you. and if there is like unapambana kimwanaume, yeah, as they say.
Yeah, that's actually the term that is usually used. Pambana kimwanaume.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, and I would start by the fact that we are a cumulative total of everything that has happened to us. So the way we were brought up, the culture that you grew up in, and so that means that when I was born, and I was born with sisters, was there a different way that I was treated? Were there expectations that were set on me? Not by my family, but purely by the culture. Was there a different way that I was supposed to behave because I am a man? And so all that, all the way to school, you know, there are chores that were supposed to be for men, there are chores that are supposed to be for ladies in primary school all the way. And now you go all the way to high school, and then you go all the way to you know, university, and there's all these things that have cumulatively made you the person that you have become. And I would say there has been just that kind of conspiracy against the man. And I don't think that the intention has been actually to get man not, you know, to go through mental challenges, you know. The intention was what we know and what we have been, you know, conditioned to believe true. And so at this level, you're looking at the culture, you're looking at the, you know, religion, you're looking at what I call primary scenario, what people have gone through, their background, experiences, what they know. It has gotten to that place, and all of it conspires to say men cannot be emotional.
So it's all in the upbringing.
There is a lot around it.
Yeah.
And so the person that I have become believes that if I show emotion, if I try to show people, you know, as anyone, that I can cry, you know, or I can actually get to that place of, you know, being emotional, whether I have lost someone close to me, or, you know, I've lost a relationship, or I'm facing situations in my own family, you know, it gets me to that place where people, you know, feel like you're supposed to be the man. And so keep your emotions in. And so, yeah, we keep our emotions in, and you can see what is happening.
It's doing more damage than good. Now, we say that right now we have a woke generation, you know, we're living in different times. So as we speak right now, has it gotten better or worse for men to be able to speak up on matters mental health? Is it getting any better, according to you?
Yeah, according to me, I'd say that it's getting somewhere. People are coming out. Young generation are coming out. People are talking. People are expressing their feelings. I would say that men to men always talk in places of entertainment. Even they express themselves to their partners, their wives, and even at work. I'd say that we're making progress, and men are coming out of their cocoon, and society is changing. You can't compare the society that we are right now and that of our fathers. Yeah, I think it is progressively, it's gradual, baby steps, but we're heading somewhere. I do concur. Even if you check in social medias today, men and some of the people are coming out and expressing their feelings, spearheading some of their agendas and you know, things to do with our mental health. We have initiatives. We have mental health activists for men, for young adults. So I'd say that we're progressing.
As a mental health officer, Mutoko, would you say we're having more men now open to even seeking professional help? You know, matters going to see a therapist and so on and so forth. Are we experiencing that?
I would say yes, but then I would also say that we still have a long way to go. Yes, depending on the model they're using. Like, I have been around men, and I have also seen and heard men say that they'd rather talk to someone that they can't see. So the fact that you're also, you know, presenting different models where they're able to express themselves and express their emotions. You know, somewhere I was, and, you know, there was that talk around would you rather go see a therapist, or would you rather, you know, talk to someone online? And a lot of them, actually probably 95%, say they would rather talk to someone they can't see, who they will never meet again. And you know, so I would say that yes, there is gradual change, but then again, looking at, you know, the way and the toll mental health is taking on men, we still have a long way to go, and you know, it calls for urgency. So yes, we are seeing more men accepting it. You know, some of them accept because it may be an issue at work, you know, and so they have to, you know, go see a therapist and bring back a letter so that they're able to show that something happened. Others will want to do it because, you know, their spouses want them to, and you know, so they are just doing it because they are being compelled to do it. But you know, getting these men volunteering to move towards seeking help, and this is actually around most health issues. Men have really bad behaviors when it comes to seeking help around health, and so when it comes to mental health, I mean, it just gets a bit more deeper. And the truth is, a lot of us don't even know that we have that struggle around that stigma. Yes.
Yeah. Robert, as someone who works with and around young people or younger people, what would you say the situation is, you know, matters stigma specifically on men's mental health awareness? When just speaking amongst yourself, is this something that is loud? You know, is the stigma really there?
As you said, now for the younger people, they are more aware, they are more woke. So I feel like younger people as friends, or where they, in their social spaces, let's say they are like for young boys when they are meeting or to go out to socialize, they are now like talking about it more. And now the younger generation for mental health is not that like far off concept compared to now our older peers. Therefore, it's easier to have those conversations. It's easier for a guy friend to tell them like, hey bro, napitia hivi na hivi ama. But also sometimes peer, I think the pressure of social media sometimes makes it a bit worse, because now as we are more on social media, and now everybody wants to show how they are okay, how they are having a successful life, how they are thriving, which at times, and maybe you see your peers are making steps ahead and you are not, so you feel like, do I really want to tell them what I'm going through, or do I really want to show? So you also just join the bandwagon and just also just exist like happily, or just unajinyamazia. But for the few who are not in that wave, they have like maybe identify a person in their friends group where I think they share, even if not deeply, but in one or another.
Actually, just speaking about that, there's a question I asked several guy friends that I have, and I was asking them, would you be open to speak about something you're going through? Would you be open to share, you know, maybe the challenges that are, you know, messing with your mind in one way or the other? And every one of them, their first answer was, with whom?
Yes.
Exactly. With whom? So is it so hard for guys to find someone they can speak to, aside from, you know, what you were talking about? Now there's AI, you can actually just chat with it and tell AI whatever is going through your life. But is it so hard for guys to just find someone to talk to? Because as a woman, I speak to my friends all the time. We will cry and then that's it. You know, so is it so hard for men to do the same, or to just identify someone they can talk to?
I'd say, at times it is. And let's say if sometimes one of your peers opens up, there's that reaction like, hey, are you okay? Like, hey, una open up. It actually scares you. And it brings also another thing. We also not we do not know how to respond. Let's say when Benjamin starts telling me he's going to, we don't know how to respond, because hatujazoea like hiyo ku-open up or mtu kukwambia, so inakushtua kwanza, inakuconcern zaidi, uko like bro uko sawa, unaona unasema vitu zingine because again it was not in us, so even outside seeking for help, even just the other way of when a friend is also reaching out, it's also a new concept. You look at it and if you find yourself in an awkward space and you don't know what to say, like sometimes it's strong.
Could that be the reason why actually you're not open to speak about some situations, because of how it's going to be received? You've told your fellow guy who's a friend to you, and how they take it, you feel like, okay, it's an awkward situation over here because now it's like I've put him in a space where he does not know what to tell me, so you'd rather just keep quiet about it. Could that be the reason?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because sometimes you open up to a friend and later on your friend uses your words against you. You understand? Yeah. So men fear that. Men fear to be despised, to be looked down upon. Men would want to be the center of attention, to be the, a person who everyone is looking up to. I want to be like Mr. Robert. I want to be like Mr. Omondi. So no one will want to jeopardize that. So they fear talking out. Now, I'm telling my friend about maybe an issue. I'm having a problem with my girlfriend, for example. And then when you're out there, he makes a joke about it.
Okay.
You're drinking this much and you're having troubles in paradise. And you're like, I shouldn't have said that. So next time you're having a problem, Mr. Robert, you won't go to him. Even if he's the only friend that you're having, you won't go to him to talk to him about your situation. You'd rather die with them. Now, men tend to share things when it's too late.
True.
Let's say, for example, burials. You'll come to notice you're a friend to a person, but you'll come to know that he has lost a peer later on, a day to burial. You see? You'll know that a person is having problems at home when he has already chased the wife. You're sitting somewhere and your friend is telling you,
or probably you see it on TV.
Yes. I'm no longer with so and so. Hey, when did it happen? A few months ago. It's nothing. So men tend to report things when it's too late. And when you're as a medic, in disease progress, it's easier to treat a disease on its earlier stages than on its late stages. Let's say, for example, cancer. Cancer stage 4, it's an end, how will I say it?
Stage.
An end stage. It's difficult to treat it unless it's a surgery. But during its first stage, chemotherapy will treat it. Let's now talk about mental health. Now, when a person shares a problem in earlier stages, counseling will help, therapy will help. But in later stages, even you yourself, you'll be out of words. And as a man, you'll just say, yeah, it's okay, bro. Just be strong. You're not the first person. So let's go out. Let's drink it out, and tomorrow will take care of itself. So I feel that men tend to fear the outcome of sharing things out. Men tend to put things for themselves, and it's eating us up. Really bad.
And the problem is that we think that it is those major things that we are supposed to share. You just said that for you, you'll just get your girlfriend and it's going
or cry.
Or cry about, and tomorrow you meet and you forgot. For a man, you go through something and you feel it's small. It's not a big deal. And so everyone else around you is supposed, is going to give you the statements of, hii ni kitu ndogo, And so you will not even want to share it because you feel like it's small. And then tomorrow you go through another one. And then tomorrow you go through another one. So at the end of the day, you realize that you've taken in so much pressure and you've never gotten an opportunity to take it out. So those many accumulated pains eventually start portraying as something different. And that's what my brother is talking about. Yeah. You get to that place where you're realizing that this thing has actually affected, you know, very many facets of my life. My, you know, fatherhood, my being a husband, being, you know, a brother, being, you know, a son to someone. All those aspects, and even, you know, wherever I work, all that has been affected. Yeah. And I cannot say it's particularly this one big thing. So yeah, the big things are important for us to deal with. But it's also important for us to realize that we are accumulating a lot through our everyday pains. So we are accumulating and it's just like when you keep taking a lot of pressure into a balloon. At the end of the day, it will get to a place and it is only going to handle so much. And now you will see some of the things that you guys are showing us on the news. Something happened. The truth is, that person was not themselves when that thing was happening, you know, when they were, you know, pushing into that havoc and all that. Yeah, you have been taking in so much and control until you actually realize that you don't have it in control. And so it gets to that level where we are not supposed to demean any of those small things that we go through. The truth is we need to face it. You know, that's why, you know, he's talking about coping mechanisms. Some of the coping mechanisms are, you know, you want just to drink it out and, you know, you think you're going to forget about it. But yeah, it's momentary. But then you wake up tomorrow and it wakes up with you.
Still there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, just as, you know, he's mentioned, like, these things eat you up literally. You know, if we look at the suicide statistics, more men are committing suicide. The numbers are actually crazy, right? So how would you want society to show up for a man? How is society supposed to show up for you in a way that is healthy, in a way that makes you feel okay? As a man, I'd be open to actually speak about this or that instead of just bottling it up to a point where now I'm snapping or I just decide to end my life. Either of you can take that.
So first, I believe it begins with me as an individual. Like Robert said, when someone comes to me and they want to have a chat and it's a man, I do not want to behave differently. I would be willing to listen. A lot of times we meet, and I'm sure even as you came to studio, you met a lot of people along the road. And you know, hi, how are you, and all that. If someone stopped you and said, you know, you asked, how are you, and they said, I'm not good, what would you do? It feels weird.
Because you're used to the usual.
You're used to the usual, poor, you know, so you are going to be stranded. Okay, so what do I tell you, you know? We will get to that level where we will ask people how are they, and we will be willing to stay and listen, and listen to, you know, give them you know, support. And a lot of times it is actually we need a listening state. We need a listening country. We want to get to a place where we know we can be listened to, we can be heard, and at the end of the day, we will actually be realizing that, you know, the change begins with us as individuals. It goes all the way to workplaces. The other day, I think last year, but one, there was launched a workplace mental health policy guidelines by the Ministry of Health. And I would say there is a lot that is happening right now from the Ministry of Health, Division of Mental Health. There is a lot of work that is happening because, you know, there is that push that let every workplace have champions for mental wellness, so that at least this conversation keeps going. You see, a lot of times when you keep talking about something, it becomes a normative, and so, you know, it becomes easier for a man to call the boss and say, you know, I'm not okay today. You know, I keep asking people, what would your boss say if you called in today and say that, boss, I feel like I'm stressed? What would your boss say? So if you're able to answer that question, probably one of them told me, the boss is going to ask, Nani ana stress? You know?
Which is actually true. Not even the boss. I feel like that would be the answer from many people. Like, kila mtu akona stress.
Exactly.
You know, just...
So let's have that kind of, you know, liberty to talk about it in the workplace, because we spend much of our times around there. Let's have it in our curriculums as we are growing young people. Let's have it in religious circles where, you know, I know some churches have programs like Man Enough, where people actually realize for you to be a man, does not mean that you keep stuff to yourself. It does not mean that you don't need to be emotional and all that. Let these conversations go all the way to the villages, and let, you know, the discussions go on, you know, to that level where people realize that even some of these things like suicide and all the ideation around it is actually a sickness. It is not a decision, you know. It's a sickness. Someone gets to that level not because they desire. You don't wake up and say, next week on Tuesday I want to die by suicide. You know, it doesn't happen. You just get yourself to that level where you are realizing things are bad and I need support. So we need to normalize the talk about mental wellness as a sickness just like every other sickness. I mean, I don't blame you for being, you know, being sick. Like you have malaria and I'm asking you, I mean, hiyo ni kitu ya kuambia watu. You know? No one gets stigma for that. So ideally, I would say let's have that discussion. And you know, for people who are at policy level, let those policies be part of our work.
And you know, just to back that, I think it's also good to put it out there that even when someone, you know, suicide happens, you don't say they committed suicide, because it's not really a crime. You don't know what was happening to them. You say they died by suicide, not commit, just to put it out there. Now,
just to add on, I'm sorry. Just to add on what Mr. Robert has said. Where I'm working at GFC College Munene, we embrace a policy. It is called open door policy. Like all the offices are open to suggestions. Now you can go to any office, the office that you think your problems will be solved. You don't have to follow the hierarchy. If you see that you're having a problem with maybe the school bus, you go to any office and you'll be helped. I think men should also embrace that policy. Like it is called, sometimes it's called snowballing in research, whereby you throw a question for someone to talk to you. So I'll throw a question to those who are viewing and us here. How many times have you called a person just to check on that person? Hey, Mr. Robert, how are you doing? Are you okay? Most of the time when I make my calls, I always ask you, how is your mental health? And people will break down for you, even the men. But you know, when you've not thrown a question to someone, that person will not open up to you. Not unless someone asked you something. That's why a man will talk. So I think we should also embrace that thing. Call your friends, call your partners. Hata kama mmekuwa na asubuhi, call them and ask them, how is work? How are you doing? How is your mental health? And you'll hear big stories. And I think problem once solved, problem shared is once solved.
All right, I love that. And you know, still to you, Churchill, you know, as a nurse and psychiatrist, is there any science that backs that men are not beings who just open up, or this is all society thing, this is all upbringing? Because sometimes they just say, this is just how we are, you know, sisi si watu wa kuongea. But is there any science behind that?
I don't think if there is any science behind that. I think it's just personalities and you know, things that people pick up. You came to Western and you found people eating ugali. And now you have to start doing that. I think it is something that just people pick up, which is not a good behavior. I'd say that. And you know, we were born and we found out that men don't speak up. Men don't share a lot. Now you're a man now. Why should you share? So I think it's a fallacy that people should get it out of their mind. It's not science.
There's no science.
There's nothing behind it. It's just a personality. And we say that something learned can also be unlearned. So it's high time that I challenge young men there to come out and speak and talk to each other and try to advise each other. Let's not just keep things to ourselves.
There's a social experiment I saw someone do on the internet, whereby there's this lady who was at a busy street and they look distressed. And just as she's there, I mean, that we'll just have random people coming to find out what's happening. Why are you, what's happening with you? And then they did the same with a man. A man was there looking all distressed. Trust me, no one stopped to ask what's up with you. So who really looks after men, honestly? Because even fellow men didn't try and ask what's happening.
Exactly.
Who looks after the man?
God.
I think it's just God.
No, okay, honestly, that was really, it was something, because no single person stood to ask.
Yeah.
That man was just there. No one asked anything.
True.
Would you say that men are also failing men?
Yeah,
I'm sorry to say
yes,
this, but I just have to ask that.
I wanted to say that, and even when you look at schools, maybe when you compare girls' schools and boys' schools, like a lot of, maybe in girls' schools, they do have sessions where the teachers would talk to them, where the teachers, for myself, I think the most talking was academic, but you'd rarely find like, you know, the intentionality of just people coming either in primary or high school. All this also, as you said, happens because of how we've grown. There's not that like a lot of peer or mentorship, and even when men finish their school, not many of them go back, or many of them like notice the smaller version of themselves. Like we also just live in isolation, like on the different generations that we are in. So like in terms of passing on mentorship or just looking on at looking after each other, yeah, it's a gap, and we really need to do a lot of that. And also that just calling your friends and just checking up on them, it's maybe among the lists of things. You might call your friends maybe to go, I don't know, watch football, or go, if it's for older men, to like eat meat somewhere. Yeah, and I think in those spaces, which also just to add something small, yes, maybe crying may not work for men, like saying, oh, you cry, but the idea is to just find spaces that men are comfortable sharing. Is it kwa kinyozi, where it's just a space for, is it maybe, again, menda watch ball or mnakula nyama mahali. So just also finding a space or a version of expression, if whatever we're trying to push may feel maybe quote-unquote feminine, but what works instead. But at the end of the day, bora, there's that expression. Yeah.
And I don't know how much time we have, but just to ask maybe, what needs to change generally? Just if we can just try, generally look at it, what needs to change in how we talk about men's mental health to favor the man?
I think I'd say that mental health initiative should start at a younger age. Do you know that children always have stress? Young children?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel mental health awareness and you know, activation of the speaking out therapy should start at a younger age. If you grow up knowing that you need to speak up, if you're having a problem, you need to talk to someone. I think let's say men will embrace it. You'll grow up knowing that if you're having a problem, you need to speak to someone. I think it will help, rather than growing up with the mentality that you know, men should not speak out, men should not express themselves. If you're having a problem, you should not go to the therapy. I think it will change men's perspective towards our mental sanity.
Yeah. So yes, there is that part of, you know, bringing up a generation, and that's around intentional parenting. So that as I parent my children, I'll be very intentional that none of them is less a human being, or none of them is a superhuman being. And so that needs to, you know, we need to get to look at the human being as a person, you know, beyond the gender. We need to look at that person as, you know, beyond these bodies that you are seeing. We need to see them as human beings. And if we look at them like that, I think a lot of things will change. Yes, so we are bringing up a generation. We also need to impact the place where we are at. And I think some of them are, you know, I've talked about policies and, you know, workplaces and churches and mosques, and, you know, this needs to be a normal kind of discussion. And I would say let's deal with it. You know, there is a problem. There is the problem that we can actually get to a place where we start focusing on men so much that we lose the women and all that. But I would say, let us talk about mental wellness as something that, mental challenges is something that affects the human being, not just the lady, but then of course have deliberate attention towards towards men. Right now, like this month is men's mental health. What are we doing? What are we even doing in our workplaces just to make sure there is something? I know like LVCT has a whole week where we're going to be doing activities that are actually encouraging men to talk about mental wellness and how they are doing. And so what is your workplace doing so that this becomes something? I know this Sunday, I'm also going to a church and we're talking about mental wellness. So ideally, what is happening where you are? Because if it's not happening, then you are the person who carries that responsibility to start that discussion. And just remind the man he is not a superhuman. It's all right to carry that slogan of men are also human beings. And so we get to that level where I will be willing to ask a fellow man, how are you doing? And I will be willing to listen. I'll be willing to listen and do something about it.
And give you a genuine answer.
Exactly. I'll also give you a genuine answer.
Okay. We need to wind up. I guess you're the one who hasn't given a parting shot. Just very quickly, in like 30 seconds.
I just meant we'd be like, men, let's talk to each other inwardly, tuongeleshane, and look out for each other, and even just for ourselves to inwardly prioritize, tuongeleshane, and we take care of each other.
All right. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation. I believe this is a conversation that should be had over and over again, not just in the month of June, because as we said, it's of essence that we talk about mental health awareness, not just for men, but for human beings in general. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This is where we end this particular conversation. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and thank you so much for just getting to be with us from the moment we started off the show till this point. This is where we say goodbye as the Good Morning Kenyan team. My name is Vivian Dagwa. See you tomorrow, same time and place, God willing. Goodbye.